If you're a child of the universe, what I know is that you are on the road of life. And that's what we're talking about all year long. And some of us have been on this road a very long time. I can see that, while others of us are kind of just starting off. But most of us are well on our way down this road. So I want to talk about this road and where it is going. So you know the saying that this road leads from point A to point B, right? Or somebody will say, I don't need a fancy car. I just need a car that'll get me from point A to point B. You've heard that, right? I actually heard that reference knowing I was going to do this talk. Somebody last night on the news or something said, it goes from point A to point B. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I love that. So I've been talking about this life as a highway thing, and I want to teach a little bit and define what point A is and what point B is. You with me? Okay, so I think point A will be pretty easy to define because point A is here. Point A is here. Point A is this moment right now. Point A is your life as it stands today. Point A is how you're showing up in your life at this time, in your family, in your wider relationships, in your career, your creative pursuits, your health, your financial experiences. This is point A for you, and this is point A for me. And I will say that you are here, and this isn't where your journey ends, hopefully not, but it is where your road leads from. It continues on from this point. This isn't the finish line. This is simply where you are right now. You know, today is the first day of the rest of your life and all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to leave here point A and go to point B, I think there are some things about point A that you've got to take care of first. Okay? I'm going to give you three things. The first thing is you have to know where you currently are. Number two, you have to understand the purpose of the road up to this point. And number three, you have to fully accept that you cannot go back and change one thing about the road that led you here. And you do all three, and you kind of understand point A. So let's break those down a little bit. First one, you have to know where you currently are. Now, there's this town in Georgia. I've spent most of my life living in Georgia, and there's this town that has a funny name. And actually, it's where I went to college. And it's spelled like, let me say it right, it's spelled like Forsyth, right? Forsyth. But it is pronounced as Forsyth, okay? And so I can imagine this couple are driving down the highway, reading the signs about Forsyth, and they're arguing. They're arguing because one of them feels like it's Forsyth, and one of them feels like it's Forsyth. And both feel strongly that they're correct, and they're arguing. So finally they pull off the highway and they go to the first restaurant they see, and they go in up to the person at the counter and they say, can you please tell us the name of where we are? And the counter guy is kind of a little bit confused. And so the driver says again, what is the name of this place? And hesitantly, kind of, but emphatically, the counter guy says, McDonald's. So anyway, you gotta know where you are, right? So even if you have to ask someone to tell you exactly where you are, like the couple did, you need to know where you are. But what I know is you really don't need to ask anyone else. You know where you are, and your level of awareness at this current state at point A is quite important. And it's powerful to be radically honest with yourself about how your life is playing out right now and who you are currently as you go about living each day. So maybe you're at a place in your life, I don't know, where things are a bit of a mess. You know, maybe your home isn't as you like it, but maybe your home is great, but you hate your job, or maybe you love your job, but your relationships are not quite working out, or maybe you have a great relationship, but your finances are a disaster, or maybe not. Maybe everything is a mess, or maybe you're at a really good place, sweet spot kind of in your life right now. Everything is feeling pretty darn awesome. But things are changing all the time because life is very dynamic. And as a human being living squarely at point A, driving in the regular lane, things are always changing, and sometimes it's kind of hard to catch up with yourself. But it's important that you do just that. Catch up with yourself and assess, how does your life stand right here at point A? So know where you are. The second part about your learning about point A is, I said you have to understand the purpose of the road up to this point. So here's what I believe. Stretch your mind a little bit. We start our road of life at birth, and we're given this vehicle of a body, this magic suit I call it. We're given our personality and our intelligence and our family and everything else that comes with our first day on the planet. And that's where this journey in this lifetime really begins. We left source and placed ourselves as a soul into the human form, into the human life. And as we squeezed our bright, bright light into the small form of a body, our souls are intent on being human. And we kind of sort of forget about our true origin in spirit, or the energy of all life. We forget who we really are. And at the same time, the challenges of our lives begin to set up the lessons that will reveal the pain that we came into this lifetime to help the human race heal. Take a deep breath. It's a big concept. What do I mean by that? I think we actually agree on a soul level to pick up some of the human pain and fear and kind of agree to take it to the finish line, having healed it along the way. We agree to have the experience, feel the pain, live the pain, so that we actually see how this particular human pain messes things up, creating chaos and disorder and disease along the way, until we decide to switch lanes and start healing it. And we heal it not only for ourselves, as we learned yesterday, we heal it for the whole human race too. That's a very big concept, right? So the question becomes, in the very early years of being on the road of life, what challenges did your younger individual self experience to allow you to pick up and choose the pain that you agreed to heal in this lifetime? And these challenges are the things that happen to us when we are either children, young adults, sometimes both. You know, the hard stuff. You know, we think our path is uniquely horrible or challenging because we are supposed to. And some of the challenges are things like neglect, abandonment, emotional, physical, spiritual, sexual abuse, betrayal, poverty, violence, loss, or any experience that is wounding and evokes deep shame and develops into fear of life, fear of others, and fear of ourselves. Tell me I'm not alone, right? I do not know a single person that can't name at least one of these types of challenges. And I think of them kind of as puzzles to solve. And to varying degrees, we've solved some puzzles as we've taken the journey of life away from childhood and up to this very moment, point A. So the second part of understanding point A is to realize that the purpose of every single thing, let me say those three words again, every single thing that has happened to you on the human level has been given to get you closer to healing the pain that you were given to heal. Let me share an example. So let me share an example of one of my puzzles. So it seems that my soul agreed to be a part of the group of souls that worked on the human fear and pain of homophobia. Okay? So being gay is something I didn't choose on the human plane level. It was born into me as my inherent nature. And I picked up the pain of self-loathing and shouldered the experience of being judged and thrown away by some friends and by some family members. And it felt like society in general at times. And as you know, millions of us were in the group that picked up that particular pain to heal. And some of us very early in school age years, and some of us in college, and some of us in young adulthood. And each of us in that group has had a unique journey through that. And I internalized the homophobia, but I also faced the fear and pain head on by coming out in my personal experiences and at work by my mid-20s. So my journey with this has been a constant one since that choice. I've marched, I've lobbied, I've protested, I've requested changes of policy, I've set boundaries with myself and with others. I've let go of people who've refused to treat me well, and I've let go of people that refuse to treat the vast majority of gay people in bad ways. I've been solving this self-love puzzle my entire life, continuing to release myself from shame or lingering self-doubt. But as I have done the work, I have witnessed the world around me shift in a positive direction. So those of us in that group have healed that particular pain to a big degree in my lifetime, right? So every single thing that has happened on the road of my life that touched this particular topic has been for my personal growth and for the evolution of the human race. Do I wish people had shown up differently along the way? Yep, I do. But the haters were among the important participants in my own healing. So do you see what I'm saying about every little thing related to the puzzle you're here to solve has been part of that trajectory to help you heal it, to get you stronger? Right? So that leads me to the third part of understanding point A, which is accepting that you can't go back, nor should you feel the need to go back to change the past. So guilt and regret are two very interesting emotional experiences that are anchored in the past. And neither have any power when we look backward. They don't help. They're not helpful. But they can inform us as we look ahead and decide not to repeat patterns that we've had in the past. You know, there's this old cliche, everything got you to this point. Derek's actually going to sing after the lesson, God bless the broken road. Because here's the deal. Until you get some peace about the road that got you here, you might have a hard time figuring out the road that leads to point B. You know, a few Sundays ago, I shared about the highway of life that got me here. And if you were here, I hope you've been spending a little bit of time thinking about how you would describe your own highway of life. And are you at a place where your description of the road that got you here is full of gratitude, or are you still making peace with your past? You know, last week I talked about faith and having faith that everything happened in your life and it was perfect for you. Everything leading up to this point brought you to this place. Everything leading up to this point made you as strong as you are. Everything that brought you up to this place has taught you that you're interested in finding point B. And this year we're going to be navigating life from the spiritual lane. That means as we leave point A on this journey together, we're going to try to drive through our upcoming experiences, trying to navigate things from a spiritual perspective, trying to turn the way we look at things kind of upside down. We're going to try to look at the challenges ahead, all of them, no matter what part of your life they touch. We're going to try to look at them as blessings, as opportunities to let Spirit guide us to the road ahead, to the continuation of releasing and healing our core fears and pain, most of which we picked up when we were pretty young. But you know what we're also going to do? We're going to kind of cruise through the smooth points too together. It's not always going to be a challenge. Knowing that faith got us through the hard stuff, we're going to allow gratitude to be our song and love to be our calling as we go. So many of the lessons this year are going to include more information about accepting and blessing the past. And all of this will make better sense to you, but you're probably asking, where are we going, Reverend Laine? Where are we going in this road? We're going to point B. So let's talk about point B. So point B is the experience of heaven on earth. It is a life lived spiritually. It's where relationships are guided by the love within each one of us. It's where we sense that there's a unity of all life. It's an existence where values are lived out loud. It's a place where peace exists, that there's no competition, only cooperation. It's where we all make a difference and do our part to fill our own personal realm of influence, our own hula hoop, our own car with joy. Point B is the place where we realize that we've laid down our pain and fear, no longer allowing it to limit us because we remember that we are connected to God itself. We're connected to a universe that is responsive, and it operates through laws that we understand and use. Point B is heavenly and beautiful because we love ourselves and we appreciate all the people who journeyed along the highway with us, playing the roles they were meant to play so that we could learn and grow. But let me caution you to realize point B is not really a destination. Point B is possible in every mile you drive. Point B is available in every moment, in every conversation, in every situation you are in. Point B is a conscious, faith-based choice pattern. Point B is living in the spiritual lane. We're headed to a way of living where you absolutely love who you are. You appreciate yourself in every way. And you accept your contribution to the world, healing the pain that you've got, knowing that you're trying to learn. So radical self-love is a part of living in the spiritual lane. We're headed to a way of living where you have no judgment or condemnation of other people and how they live their lives. There is the possibility of moving through the world at peace because there's an understanding of universal learning going on in everybody's car around you, right? In everybody's life, no matter how different they may be from you. Moving through the world at peace because there's an understanding that everything happening on the global scale is unfolding for the betterment of the entire human race. A deep sense of oneness produces the peace of living in unity. The spiritual lane can help you get to this point B. In the spiritual lane, there's such deep appreciation for the current moment and all the details of this moment playing out in the world, because that leaves all your power to be used in the current situation you are in, your hula hoop, your realm of influence. Instead of worrying about things way outside your hula hoop and letting it disrupt you all inside, instead of worrying about all of that, you can surrender that to spirit and the laws of life that are always at play, and you can focus on your relationships, your health, your connection to spirit as it shows up in life right now. Because if enough of the human race has beautiful hula hoops all linking together, the world is also healing. You look for the path to love in your experience of this time in your life, this day. And that's a good description of where we want to go. Basically, we are on a journey to reveal mile after mile who you know yourself to be: a loving, peaceful, light-filled, joyful, impactful, empowered person. Don't you think I just described you perfectly? Right. So how do we get there? How do we get there? We get there by choosing to switch to the spiritual lane every chance we get. Let me give you some examples to think about. If your road of life is winding you through some challenging relationships, raise your hand if your road of life is leading you through challenging relationships. Okay, good. I'm not alone. That includes friends and families or neighbors or strangers and coworkers or whatever, and you're feeling angry or judgmental. Ring a bell? All right, so I want you to try to switch to the spiritual lane. Try to switch and see if you can get how the people in your life are helping you see what still needs to be healed in your own inner self. Let it be as often as you can, striving to be as accepting while holding strong, healthy boundaries. If you try every day to reach the spiritual lane in this situation, peace has a chance to grow in your life. Let's do another one. If your road is on a path towards greater abundance, but you're still afraid that there isn't enough resource in the world, try to switch lanes and remember to remind yourself that the universe is the source of all energy and you are in the flow of that always. You are not the container that sends the resources to you, nor are you the repository for them. Energy flows through your life and you flow it out to the things that you appreciate. You're always in that flow, always. Challenge yourself to see the abundance of the natural world, the leaves, the grains of sand, all that abundance as the truth of how spirit works and the resources that are available at that unlimited level. The more you can switch over to that lane, the more you grow your consciousness of plenty and experience greater financial freedom in your own world. Just 2 examples of lane switching. There are opportunities to connect with your soul in every aspect of your life. I could give you an unlimited amount of examples because literally in every mile you're driving, you're choosing how to see things as broken or as in being repaired, as not having enough of what matters, as to it being abundantly available, as full of fear or full of love, as thinking you're separate from everyone else or understanding you're unified with everyone else. You're constantly choosing which lane to drive in. And here's the interesting part. You know how you're driving down the highway and you get into a lane? You kind of go unconscious and stay in that lane, right? Unless somebody rudely, suggests that you move lanes or whatever happens. Most of the time you kind of just go down the lane that you're in, right? It's the same way with life. If you can get into the spiritual lane and practice driving there and practice looking at life that way, you kind of just stay in that lane until some rude person gets you out of that lane again, and then you have to get back. But pretty much if you're driving unconsciously in the human life lane and you're not looking at things from a spiritual perspective, you kind of tend to stay in that lane too. So get over into the spiritual lane. And this is how it is in spiritual living. Once you get into the habit of driving your life awake and aware in the spiritual lane, looking at life through the eyes of your soul, letting your inner love guide you in your choices, connected to your love of self and all that stuff, you sort of just ride comfortably in that lane. So once we start reaching moments and moments of point B living, we know that we want to stay in that lane as much as possible because guess what? It feels so sweet and open and free. But staying in the spiritual lane involves discipline though, because maintaining point B requires discipline. We must watch our thoughts with discipline to kind of grow greater awareness of when we've kind of slipped into negativity or pessimism or fear or victimhood, and not allowing those thoughts to go unchallenged. Challenge them. We develop greater discipline in managing our hula hoops, only sending out that which is good and loving so that more of that comes back to us. We speak with discipline and impeccability over our words. We feel our vehicle of life as deserving of the highest grade fuel we can have in our thoughts and the things that we use to stimulate ourselves. We manage our time with greater discipline, giving the energy of time to activities that give you joy. So all the lessons this year are going to be about helping you learn more and more about the ways you can practice driving kind of away from that far lane of human ego and fear and finding more spiritual connection more easily as you heal your challenges. I hope you'll stick around as we explore more about accepting and loving yourself and clearing the obstacles to staying in the spiritual lane. We're going to go from point A to point B together, and we will heal and we will rise together. Will you pray with me? Oh, take a deep breath. Point A. As we sit here in point A, I remember that God meets me here in this moment, that Spirit is always present for myself, but also for every person hearing this prayer. Love and Spirit and God are right at the center of our beings. And I know that in the days ahead, as we drive along the highway of life, we're reminded more and more frequently that life is good and that we are whole and we don't need to be affirmed outside of ourselves. There is all that love within us. And life gets to be such a smooth road of love and connection and joy. So I know more moments of that for each one present. I'm grateful for the opportunity to teach. I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful for the wisdom that I've learned along the way of life that I can share. Thank you, God. I let it go and let it be. And so it is.
So it is.